morning, everybody, and welcome to Teaching Talk Show Live. I am your host, Jenny Norris, and I'm testing out a new platform today. So hopefully this is working. So if you can see me and want to say something, and I put the chat on. So go ahead and say hello if you are watching. Today we got a show with John Reagan. We're going to do a whole series on staging hits and misses. And so John Reagan is my guest today. He will be joining us from Indiana. So first I will be doing some announcements. And so I'm going to say hello, everyone. So hopefully you guys can see me. Oh, hello. Thanks, Michelle, for responding. I appreciate that. All right. So the platform allows us to stream to not just Facebook, but also YouTube and LinkedIn, which is cool. And then some other social media platforms. That's why I am exploring this, because the other platform only does Facebook. I can view YouTube, but a lot of the comments on YouTube are kind of weird. So, hey, John. so let me see here. Invite guests, copy the link. So I'm going to send you, because something happened when I was setting this up to go live, John. So I'm going to quickly send you this link one more time, and hopefully it will work for you to come in. Cool. All right. So I can share my screen, which is really cool. So I'm going to do that application window. So I have nope, I don't want to do that. This is what I want to do this. So I have some announcements to make beforehand, so just bear with me here while I learn my my new platform. Chrome tab, here we go. That's what I wanted. All right, so I'm going to put this over to the side so I can kind of see what's going on. And actually, I don't even know what you guys can see on your end. So interesting. Hi, Kimberly. Good morning. Good morning. So when I went to share my tab, I don't know if you guys could actually see. So show on stream. There we go. Perfect. Okay, awesome. So our 2020 conference is coming up, and we are really excited for what we have planned for everybody. So, of course, the theme is to soar, and soaring, of course, means more than just flying or taking flight. It means you're gliding effortlessly. So when you see birds in the air and they just seem to sort of be, floating up there, they're on a wind current, but it takes a lot of effort to get up there. So we put in the effort to build our businesses in order to be able to soar to new heights. And SOAR stands for Seek Opportunities and Rise, and we're reaching new heights of success. So September 24th, 25th, and 26th in Denver will be our conference. And so start planning for that. It's going to be in Denver, of course, Rocky Mountain High, the city. It's beautiful that time of year here in September, and nice fall colors hopefully should be starting. Weather should be nice. And so we're looking forward to being able to host this event for everybody, and would love for you to join us. So, plan on being here with us. Chris Widener, he has a video here. I'll see if I can play that in a little bit. He's one of our keynote speakers. This is our new designation that we're giving out this year. So every conference dating back years, and of course IHOS was the first industry association to host any sort of an event, a conference for education for the industry. And we've always given designations out as part of our conference. We call our conference, it's a getaway with the takeaway. So this year the focus is going to be on sales and marketing, being an SMS, sales and marketing specialist. So not only for your company, but also learning ways that you can partner with your clients, because that's another value-added service you'll be able to offer to them as their stager, as their real estate agent, in order to get their business and to secure this relationship. So you'll be learning all about, marketing, sales, closing the sale, negotiating. We'll also have a whole session on temperaments and personalities, which also goes hand in hand with understanding your client and what they need in order to market properly to them, and help them also market to their prospective clients as well. So that is our designation, the SMS. This is the definition of SOAR, which I love. To mean, it means to rise swiftly, to feel the wind slipping below you as you ride it higher and higher. The current takes you higher and farther, and once you reach that height, it becomes effortless. And then soaring suggests exhilaration, even joy. And we certainly all could use a lot more joy these days with everything that's going on. And my heart goes out to all the victims this past week of the different um, incidences with the Asian community, and also my home state here in Colorado and Boulder. So, you know, just keeping a positive attitude despite things that might be happening around the world and in our own personal lives and so forth. It does take a conscious decision to do that some days, for sure. Our conference will have a culmination on Sunday evening of our big awards dinner and gala. Um, and so it is the Roaring 2021 theme. So costumes are encouraged. So it'll be kind of a 2020, it's Roaring 20s theme. We'll have a VIP speakeasy for our VIP members, and we'll be able to have a lot of fun that day on in the evening. So we're going to wrap up our whole conference with this big celebration. So that'll be fun. Call for speakers. So those of you that are interested in speaking, your deadline is the 25th. And so that is, I believe, Thursday, if not Friday. Today's Wednesday. Yes, it's tomorrow, Thursday. So get your submissions in. You can go to our website, ihospiconexpo.com, and see the link for you to be able to put in. You fill out a form, and that'll send me all the information that we need to have to evaluate your session. We are asking people to think about the theme, SOAR, and come up with a topic along those lines that relates to sales, marketing, logistics, building your business, creative trends, anything you want to share with others as a speaker. And speakers will have half their conference tuition paid for. You'll also be automatically a VIP, which gives you access to our speakeasy, plus front row seating, access to all of our speakers when they have their book signings or things like that, that you'll be first in line, preferred registration. You'll get a special swag bag, goodie bag that the other attendees don't receive. So there are some special things we're doing for our VIPs, and as a speaker, you'll be in that group. We'll also have breakout sessions, and I love this. Breakthroughs happen in the breakouts. So your session could be a main stage session or it could be a breakout session. And so depending on the topic, it'll be either for beginner, intermediate, or advanced level stager, and then we will break our attendees into those categories, and you'll be able to hear the speakers and the topics that pertain to your level of where you are right now in the business. And of course, everything is recorded, so we do record all of our sessions, even the breakouts. All of that is made available to our attendees post-conference. So let's say that there's 2 sessions you really wanted to attend, and you're in one and you can't get to the other one, you will be able to see that other content and have access to any handouts as well. With our conference, we always do the advanced stager training. This will be our 3rd year doing this. It is a workshop intensive more than a conference where you sit and listen to somebody. You are with 6-figure and above staging colleagues, and we talk about concerns and issues and successes and things that are working and challenges we might be facing. And when you're with a group of other individuals who are in the same place you are and growing beyond, it's really, really powerful. And then we also have collaboration. So we invite other speakers to come and share. So we were the first group to really embrace the idea of collaboration and having others who maybe aren't in leadership in IHOSP or have other training or other groups that they belong to come and share, because I certainly don't know it all, and I don't think they know it all, but collectively we sure can come up with a lot of really great information to share. So our keynote speakers will be coming to our advanced stager training, which this is the first time we're able to do this for our attendees. So Chris Widener, who's a best-selling author, he just released his 22nd book on impact. That will be his topic at our conference, having a business of impact. And he will be coming and sharing at the advanced stager training, as well as Johnny Fowler, who is a social media and marketing guru. And so he'll be speaking directly to the 6-figure and above group regarding what we can do to advance our businesses and really to use the platforms in the best way possible, as well as other guest speakers will have come in to share with us. And then, of course, being able to hear from one another in a safe, confidential setting, but very open and very collaborative. And that is our advanced stager training. So that is the 2 days following the conference. It's always the 27th. It'll be the 27th and 28th. So it's always the 2 days post-conference. So plan for that. We do have hotel rooms that are reserved for before the conference and after. So the Gaylord Hotel is our host hotel here in Denver. Beautiful Gaylord Rockies. And so we do have a block of rooms that are available. So make sure that you are looking at that and reserving your space. Because did sell out last time. So make sure that you get your rooms. Now you can reserve and you can always make adjustments if you need to. And I love this graphic. Anticipation, the positive expectation of an event that causes someone to be happy. And so our conference really is unlike any others. It's a true celebration. You definitely get high level education. A lot of really wonderful speakers who prepared content that is very pertinent and relevant for today and the future. We also have fun. And so we'll have our big vendor expo. We'll have all of our key vendors that are able to attend. Will be there selling their items. You can touch, feel, get to know the vendor reps and so forth. And then we have fun. We have expo night, which is sort of a combination of the vendors. We have music and food, and then we have our awards dinner on the Sunday night. So there's plenty of time for you to get to know colleagues, meet people that you maybe see on social media, hang out, chat with people. Saturday night will be a free night. People can go into Denver. They can hang out. So there'll be lots of time to actually be able to celebrate our industry, celebrate friendship, celebrate our colleagues, and just give you something to look forward to. I know when I have a trip planned, in my mind I start counting down. First it's the months, and then it's the weeks, and then it's the days to the event, and it gives this positive sense of anticipation, something that we get to look forward to. And so that's what we hope that you feel about our conference. And this is the Gaylord. You can see it pictured down here. Beautiful, beautiful hotel. And, it's easy access from the airport, really easy to get to. It's right by the airport and with unobstructed views of the Rockies out this big main lodge area. So we're going to have a great time. We're going to provide a lot of really great information and education to you, of course, and have a few surprises planned. So that is our conference. Um, we also have some other things that would come out. We did a profile banner that you can download from Facebook. Use a search for home staging or IHOSP, IAHSP. It says work with the hire a pro stager. And some of you may have seen that on my profile. I don't know if I can actually pull that up here without losing everybody. So I don't want to do that. Hire a pro stager. So look for that and have that on your banner. So promote the fact that you are a professional stager. And that means something to the industry, people who are looking for professionals. And so our newsletter last month in March, actually it's this month, it just came out a week or so ago, was all about money, the green, because the month of March, we always think of green, shamrocks for St. Patrick's Day, which was Blair Hamity's birthday. Happy birthday, Blair. And also spring, things are greening up around the country. Maybe not here. We don't have any leaves on the trees yet that are deciduous. But money and value and pricing and knowing your worth is so important in our industry, whether you are a realtor or a stager, because there are always people that want it done cheaper, and they're going to ask you to reduce your pricing, or they're going to ask you to reduce your commission. And so being able to support your value by adding things that other people may not be doing, or being able to show a proven track record of success that others can't point to, will separate you from those who are just price shopping. And I just had a call actually this morning from an agent who's shopping around for a staging company, and so gave a scenario of a property. How much would you charge? So I gave them an idea of range, but I said, really can't nail the price down until we see the property. And we're not cookie cutter. We're going to make sure it looks right for the property. So, there are people, if price is the only thing that matters, it's not a good idea to compete on price, because that just drives the market down, and in any industry. So being able to show more value. And so the whole March issue magazine was all about that. And I see you, Don. You're in the stream, so I can bring you in. I just have you muted right now, so I see you sitting here waiting for me. So anyhow, you always want to be leading with your value. What makes you different? Your differentiating factors. Is it your responsiveness? Is it the fact that your awards and so forth matter? But what is it that sets you apart? Do you provide any additional service like photography? Can you coordinate that for your agents as a stager? Can you coordinate cleaning for them? Are you flexible? Are you accommodating? So the less rigid we are in our process, the more opportunities we will have with clients, which is important. And yet you want to stick to your values. So somebody who tries to shop you against someone else, and you know you're losing money on the staging, or you're not making enough money as a realtor with your commissions to even cover your marketing costs and your business overhead and so forth. It's just not worth it to lower yourself and cheapen. And I know in the beginning I remember thinking like, well, we've all had this conversation. We have a lot of listings coming up, or it could be a builder to a realtor. We have a lot of properties we'll be working on, or an investor. A lot of properties will be flipping, and if you give us a really good deal on this first one, we're going to use you for all of them. And I know I heard that conversation at least a handful of times in the beginning. And you walk into that thinking I'll be a good person, and I'll work with them for this first one because I know these other things are going to manifest, and this other stuff never manifests. So when I did lower, or I remember one client I offered to actually to do a hands-on staging complimentary, so it wasn't even going to charge for them. It was going to actually be a class project, and I was going to actually bring our chapter together, and it didn't pan out, but I'm glad because there really was no value in what we were offering. So keep that in mind and read that magazine. There are over 20 pages just on pricing, value, and your mindset. And I had shared this on our membership call that was on Monday. So if you missed that, the recording is uploaded in the iHosp membership portal for all of our members. And what I shared is when the markets are, in most places, are very strong right now. There's not a lot of inventory. It's very hard for buyers to win deals. Very competitive out there. When you're a realtor, you've got to differentiate yourself. It's extremely competitive for real estate agents to get business. And so, however, when the price of properties, they're going up in most markets, everybody tied to that property usually gets paid according to the sale price of the property. So the agent gets paid a commission based on the sale price, whether they're the listing agent or the buyer's agent. The lender gets paid, usually it's like 1% is what they are paid. And I did look this up, so I'm not just speaking from, not a place of knowledge, but they typically are about a 1% fee. Title is about 0.5%. So these people are tied to the sale, and even like the photographers and the video people, as the market gets more hectic, their prices are increasing. Appraisers, the prices are going up. And so all people tied that are affiliates or primary players in the sale or purchase of a home, they're all making more money for the most part. And so as a stager, why then do we feel like we should have to go backwards and lower our prices in order to get business? And certainly you want to be in line with what your market expects. However, if you're new and you're watching this segment, you have to know your value. You need to know your market, what your market will bear for pricing, and never ever do anything free. And I don't know, it's my mantra now for the last year. There is no value in free. Never ever give something away for free. A webinar, a course, um, a conference, don't do it for free. There's no value. Don't be giving your staging away for free. Don't be giving your ideas away for free as a real estate agent. When you walk in a property and you have ideas for what the seller might be able to do, you don't have the listing yet. Don't be giving them any ideas. That's your commodity. So you can share as soon as we agree to work together. I have so many great ideas for your property, and I'm really excited to share them with you. And as soon as we agree to work together, then I'll be sharing those with you. So don't be giving things away for free because there's no value in free. And if you're a stager that was not taught how to price, what your market will bear, that's a big shame. And so feel free to email me because I'm happy to share with you what your market pricing should be as a stager based on the price of properties in your area and what, how long staging's been in existence and so forth. There's various factors. You can email me at jenny@ihosp.com. And so you can send me an email and I will ask you some questions. And I've done this for, at least 10, 15 people recently based on what I've posted online. So, because I just don't want people guessing what their value should be. So, all right, with that, I'm going to go ahead and bring our guest in. So, John, I'm going to bring you in. And here you are. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. So,
This is a nice platform. I like this one.
yeah, and it allows you to bring up to 6 guests on, which my last one, I think I could only do 4. And then I can actually stream to multiple platforms. So Facebook, we're live right now in 3 different locations. Eventually, I should be able to do LinkedIn, but there was some setting that wasn't working, and then YouTube. But I got to check out YouTube because when I have streamed to YouTube in the past, and I got the people watching or commenting was all these like porno comments, and really really
Okay.
inappropriate. So I deleted all of those. I'm thinking like, why did this session attract those people? So I have to maybe do a little bit of research on that. So that's why I'm a little bit gun shy about YouTube at this moment. But it is a good platform to be on when you're live. So, but anyway, how are you? Tell people who you are for those who don't know.
I'm John Reagan. I'm with April Properties. I am a master credited staging professional, which has made a huge difference in my career and my ability to stay out and use that word called added value. Now, do understand that I only stage for my own properties. I do have a staging company that Diana Mullins is the head of that, and she reaches out and does staging for other realtors because realtors tend to get a little nervous when I walk into their homes and meet their sellers. So she handles that end of it, and and I'm a top producer, and I have to say that a big part of it's because I'm a home stager. A huge
Absolutely.
part of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's been one. You're being very modest, but he's won top awards with his company, really risen to the top. And you got your master's. Gosh, let's date ourselves here. 2000, was it like 2012, 13?
I think it was the last class that Barb taught.
Yeah, it would be. And we were housemates, so I was
Yes.
there just to learn how to teach the masters. And so I had the pleasure of having John in the house with a couple other people, and we had a blast.
Yeah.
And
We had a lot of fun. Maybe a little bit too much fun, but
yeah,
we got through
exactly,
it. We got our big M, right?
exactly. Yeah, he got it. Yeah, I love that story. So I was, he messaged me yesterday on Facebook, sort of spurred the idea of doing this series. And I'll see if I can pull up the images here because I want to share them.
Oh
Um,
God.
oh, let's see here. Where did I put these? Uh, it's not here. Let me get rid of that page. Okay. I'll find him. So anyway, he messaged me and um, was like, well, tell them what you shared. This has to come from you, your voice, because it was just your voice was in my head. I just made me laugh so hard.
Okay. Well, because there's a lot of home stagers on Facebook, and I'm friends with lots of home stagers, and sometimes pictures will be posted that are just a little outside the norm for what really is appealing to buyers. And unbeknownst to me, I didn't know she was going to bring this up, but I said, "Do you ever look at other people's work and say, 'Oh, honey, no, what were you thinking?'" And she, of course, had a wonderful, maybe it's budget, maybe And I said, "But I think it would be great if we did some classes on like per room. Let's talk about style, how to make a bed. I mean, there's so many. I mean, Lux Staging did a post this morning about a cell. Those people, she knows how to make a bed. It's gorgeous.
Yes,
And as a realtor, I work with a lot of buyers, so I see a lot of great home staging, and I see a lot of um, okay, all the home stagers are gonna love this. I see a lot of realtor home staging, and as a realtor and a home stager, sometimes I want to say to the realtor, you should probably stick to real estate and hire a home stager. Um, and that's just because we're so busy, and many of us don't have the ability to stay up on trends and our OCD and work 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, like I do, and watch all the things. But there's some amazing things, but there's some big don'ts as far as when home staging and what buyers' responses are going to be, and
right.
that's how we started talking about this.
So here's our series. I'm gonna get this to open. Oh, hang on a sec. I got to get to the file here. I'm learning this new platform. Hang on a second. Let me find the window. There we go. Okay, so let's see if it showed up in here. Home staging hits and misses. That's our logo. So, and on my side, I just found that this morning. So the idea is there are some things that people are doing that are really wonderful, and some things that maybe aren't so great. And so I thought I would pick on myself to show you some things that weren't so great early on. So let's see here if I can get this. Oh, so I love this. Did you guys ever see How I Met Your Mother episode where Lily's trying to sell her artwork? And then when your comment reminded me, like, oh, honey, oh no. So this is the character, the actor that she paints this painting and thinks they buy the painting for like $500, and she thinks she's an artist. Oh my gosh, people are buying my art because I'm so fabulous. And so they go talk to this guy, and he says, oh, honey, no, oh, good for you. No, we like the frame. The frame was some special frame that was actually worth a whole lot more than $500 that they recognized. They didn't care about the painting. They threw the painting in the garbage. And so when you said that to me, this is what the episode I thought about. It's like, oh no, oh honey. So here is okay. This is a staging miss. Now this was one of my stagings early on, and this was back when vignette staging was done and it was acceptable. So this is a living room or a family room. So wicker chairs, probably got those at Pier One back in the day, and the area rug and the bamboo thing. And so, I will preface this by saying I've been at this almost 20 years. This is probably early 2000s, and the house sold. However, I would never do this
No, no,
today. I mean,
no.
yeah, the expectations of buyers and so forth have definitely increased, and so we don't want to be putting something out that is amiss. And so if you don't have the proper budget to stage it properly, or the person is squeezing the budget so much that um, you can't do a proper job, you either have to eliminate some of the rooms to give more budget per room. Or what would you say, John, to somebody that if they're like, you know, the budget's not there, they have these rooms to do, we don't want to do a vignette setup like this. So what would your response be to someone?
Well, I always say hit the major rooms, like the living room, the foyer, because I tell all my clients, if I have about 15 seconds to hear wow or oh my god when they walk in, and that's what home staging does. And if I don't hear that, that's not normally the house I sold them. So I like to have a big presence, and by a big presence, I don't mean a lot of stuff. I mean a nice presence that's going to support the features of the home. I showed a home last week, and it was a beachfront home, and the stager, did such an amazing job on making it very tasteful. All the rooms felt open and inviting. You felt like you were going to sit down and just live in that home, and it was definitely a hit. But these little things, that buyers are way too educated, because every buyer, you hear the word HGTV every time you walk into a house, and they see these things and they're like, oh, and it makes you think. It just comes across as cheap, and
Yeah, I mean,
I
and
like
even
the way that sounds, but that's the fact.
it does look cheap. So this, and even like from an aesthetic standpoint, again, this is my staging. So Phyllis, you guys can comment. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Back in the day, this was acceptable. Would not do this today. Artwork is too small. If the focal point's the fireplace, the furniture should be positioned looking at that, or because I don't even
Right.
know what it's looking at. It's looking maybe at the kitchen. That's a big focal point wall, so you'd have a primary piece of furniture and not a little tiny grouping. And the tree in the middle of the wall, that should be off to the side. So there's things you learn along the way. So as long as we're learning how to do things differently, that's important. And I remember getting these rugs. I used to pay $19 for these rugs at my wholesaler at the flea market. And and then you had different colors. You had like 4 different colors. But I don't use the pattern rugs now. Mine are more solid because I learned they become memorable. And people will recognize your items in a property. There's that rug again. Well, there's this again. And so you want to have enough of a variety, and enough that it looks great in houses, but it's not such a unique item that it's becomes this thing that shows up all the time, unless it's like some sort of a statement thing for your company, like your brand. But be really careful about having things that are too memorable. All right, so let me
Well, and also it's where, when I was looking at that picture, my eyes kept coming back to the rug.
yeah,
That's not where I want, as a realtor. When I'm selling a house, that's not where I want my eyes to go. I want my eyes
right.
to go to the fireplace. I want
The
the
focal
wow
point.
factor of each room is what you should be going for. And I've seen many stagers put like sofas across the front of the fireplace. And when you walk in, the first thing you see is the back of the sofa. And I just cringe because I'm not selling the sofa, I'm selling the fireplace.
Right.
And so you
Yeah,
have
and
to
and
make
then
the home's features stand out.
right, right. And then if you have to float it there, you could put a console table, something to create a buffer, but we don't want to create a big wall in front of the fireplace. So this was maybe could be the same house. There's the wicker furniture. So back in the day, we use a lot of fabric to hide prop furniture. So under that table is probably a metal round table that we probably picked up in the garden section at Target or Walmart or something like that with those little chairs. And again, the wicker things that are in the kitchen. I don't know what that cabinet is doing in the front there because I can't see it from the thing. But this again, house sold. However, do not do this
I know.
in
I look at
today's
some of my old
staging.
stations and go,
Oh my
no,
God. I
how
mean,
is that making?
yeah, it just I mean it and I get it. I was new once, so was John. Budget. I didn't invest a lot of dollars in buying a bunch of stuff before I had the need for it. Back when I got started, vacant houses weren't even being staged in my market when I got started. It was all just consultations and occupied. So I didn't have a credit card to put things on. I didn't have the ability to take out a loan to be able to buy a bunch of stuff. So our business paid for it as we grew along, and thankfully things like this were okay. I didn't have rental companies I could go to. I didn't even have colleagues I could go, hey, can I partner with you on this project because you have items and I don't. So there's a lot of options for those of you that are newer that you can do quality work without having to um, invest a ton of money in furniture because there's people that have the stuff. So Kat says, I love this, Jenny. When I do training for my team, that's exactly what I pull out as early staging and what not to do. It's somewhat cringeworthy, but very valuable. It is because we all started somewhere. I remember going into stages, we'd have this cavalcade of vehicles with stuff sticking out our windows. I mean, we're like the Beverly Hillbillies of staging. And I would insist that the client not be there because I'm like, I don't want her to see that we've got like blow up mattresses and folding tables and an ugly love seat or a couch that we're going to put a cover over. That's what we used to do. And so I remember this one client wouldn't leave. And I just told the team, I said, you just keep on going. And somebody had a pickup truck with like leaves and trees sticking out it. And my car had stuff sticking out the windows. And those were the beginnings back then. But we've got a lot more sophisticated, that's for sure.
I think that's the key word is our buyers are much more sophisticated. I
Yeah.
mean, even small beach cottages are very high and you can get a really nice look, but you have to pay attention to what the house is asking for and really stay within those boundaries and and really know your colors and know your color palette, please.
So in this house, so this one again, this is a Pier One chair. I love that chair. It got stolen out of a house, which I was really sad because I couldn't get another one. But we had a lot of these wicker accent chairs. There's another rug, there's that same pattern,
It's
maybe a
the same
different
rug,
color.
isn't it?
Could be, probably is. And the little accent tables. Now that's a love seat that has a cover over it, and so we used to get sure fit covers and put them over love seats. And I'm not too proud to tell you, I'd be driving along in my neighborhood and somebody would have a love seat kicked out to the curb, and I'm like, I could fit that in my SUV, and I'd go, pull over, and I'd call my get over here, help me load this thing in the car, and we would use that, it never occurred to me back then bed bugs and things like that really weren't as prevalent. But we put a slip cover over it. And I actually had people ask to buy my furniture, and I'm like, trust me, you don't want that furniture. With the cover, it looked nice, but and it again, it worked for that time. But this would not be suitable for today's buyers or
No,
sellers.
and just like with that picture, you have those amazing windows, but because of the color and the furniture and the rug, you don't still have that rug, right? No.
No, no,
How you look at it as it brings all your focus down, and you
yeah.
really need to take your focus up. Like as an example, when I was looking at that, one of her sold posts for Lux Staging, the first thing I noticed was how in tune with the room was, that the furnishings were. They weren't in your face, and I noticed, like, oh, there's tray ceilings, and look at that view, and it should enhance what the home has and not detract. And sometimes I think we get too involved in decorating instead of staging.
Right.
and that it's harder for me to get people to look at the house when there's so much stuff.
So another, this is an owner occupied. So that was not my fat lazy boy chair, but probably their couch that we covered, or maybe they had that ugly color. And again, the rug, busy rug. We didn't have a coffee table, so we put two ottomans together. My little Pier One thing with the sticks in it. We used a lot of trees back then, and I've sort of moved away from a lot of trees because they take up a lot of space. But things in the corners. So again, worked for the period of time. The palette, the reds and the golds and so forth. Not a bad color scheme, but just it looks dated
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
it is. This is 19, 18 years ago. So, um, again, mixing stuff with the sellers. Let's take a look at the next one. This was so now we had a little bit these pieces of furniture we actually got from Pier One. I love them. I called them butternut, and they were super lightweight. Like I could carry that chair by myself. It was really lightweight. And then I brought a set with me when we moved to Colorado, and then our house flooded and they got ruined. So it was very sad. But just look at the first of all, the rug again. Your eye goes down. So it's a really
Right.
good point that back then we used a lot of the pattern rugs, the faux Kermon. So nowadays you're going to see more lighter color rugs. They might have a subtle pattern, but they're not going to be super, super busy because you want the eyes to stay up. And the Tuscan, remember the Tuscan thing that was all the rage back then? And so the Italians, a lot of our artwork was those along those lines. And let's talk about that fabric mushed on top of the table. Don't ask me why we did that, but it was just sort of a thing that we would do. Sometimes on the dining room table, we'd have a little thing mushed on there. And so I look at that and I don't, I don't like seeing that white fabric. And of course, the style of the furniture too is very traditional. So that's one of the things as a stager, staying on top of artwork that is always changing. We went from things that were framed in glass that were very heavy and would break to now the wrapped canvas art is very nice. And then um, putting frames on the artwork also dresses it up. So you can kind of see the artwork behind me in my photo here in my video. So I ordered that online and then chose to frame it. So it kind of finishes it out, gives it a nicer, higher quality look than just the plain wrap canvas. And it's not that expensive to do. So, this house, I remember I was on Cedar was the name of this property. And it was a mixed media, so we had to use some of the stuff that the owner had and some of our things. But, again, the house sold, but why did we talk about the mantle? What do you see is wrong with the mantle there? What we put up there?
Um, from an OCD view, it's killing me because it's not balanced. The art is too small. I'm not seeing
Hung
what I
too
need to
high.
see in the room. Yeah, it's you have some great features in this room, so you really could have, and today you would never do this because I know your staging because I follow your stuff very closely. Um, but it doesn't make a present. It doesn't bring your eye to the fireplace, and
Let
that's
me,
what
even look at the tree, the flowers on the centerpiece, and the topiary. They're all like to the right. So at
Mhm.
the very
Everything's out
least,
of
we could have,
balance.
yeah, we could have put the topiary thing on the left to, kind of balance that out. So I think it's a really good thing to go back and take a look at some of your pictures and be a critic of yourself, because we're not perfect. And and definitely, you can share pictures online in groups. And my whole thing is people just need to be kind. I don't like people that rip into someone's staging because it is subjective and it is the factors that come into play are the budget that the stager was provided, any other limitations they may have had with the staging and so forth. However, there is a point where you want to have a standard that you have for your company that you're not going to go below the standard because that represents your reputation. And Kat says they still use blow up mattresses. And I know a lot of people do. I just had to move away from them here because they kept popping.
No,
Everybody's
I too. It was the best decision I ever made, and it was from one of the stagers on the the portal, and because I always had to go fill them up every time there was a showing, and that was my time is money.
and I
So
think
it's easier
and
to
I
invest
don't know
in them.
because you're in a climate where it gets hot and cold. So I sort of attributed it to the change in weather. Like when they get really cold, if you fold them up, we would get holes, like the creases. They'd actually tear. We didn't like tear them ourselves with just the way they were being
Right.
um, folded or whatever. So that compelled me to move to real mattresses. But certainly air mattresses are fine when they're dressed properly. And I know Kat does amazing work. So this was not my staging. So I will preface that. Um, I don't know whose this was. This is on our, there's actually a Facebook page called This Is Not Home Staging that I started, and it's a public page or group, and you can post pictures in there. So this is somebody posted this in here, and I don't even know where to begin. I mean, um, why don't they have a bedside table for that lamp, number one? And then you have the mattress. This is an example of the mattress that deflated on the frame, and it looks terrible. And then that picture is a great piece of art, but it's touching the headboard. Um,
Yeah. And the thing is, there are design standards that you should keep in mind even when home staging. Now, I will point blank tell you that I sometimes butt heads with people who feel design standards are just black and white and you can't go between that. And that's because I think I'm also a realtor. And if I have gorgeous hardwood floors, I don't want to see a giant rug, because the very first thing a buyer does is they're going to walk in and lift the rug and look for damage. If I have really ugly tile in a room and it's real cold feeling, put a big old rug on there.
Absolutely.
But you have to understand what I'm selling. And I will tell you, with these inflatable beds, I've had many an agent sort of like put their leg up on it or sit on it or something and end up on the floor. And it's been a humorous story so far, but I was to the point where I was afraid someone was going to get hurt. So
Think about like people that come with little kids. Kids like to jump on the beds, and I've certainly seen evidence of that. So if they go and they go flying on this bed and the whole thing just
yeah,
well, somebody could get injured. And we don't want people in our beds, but I just kind of question the stager that would think this was acceptable. Or I'm not saying it could be any, I don't know who did the staging because it's not identified, but this is not to standard. I mean, the lamp on the floor, big fat no. Air mattresses will deflate. So if that's something that you guys are using, you have to check, make sure that your client knows that it's not supposed to look like this. Because I remember back when we used them, going to pick up and having the bed like all deflated. I'm like, oh my God, how long has it been like this?
right.
Because it looked horrible. And I thought, I don't want people to think that this is how we stage. So make sure that somebody is at least checking on it. I like the headboard. I like the artwork. So that,
I know the
those,
color palette's really nice,
yeah.
but this could have gone from that to a 10 with very little addition to that room.
So this was a client who wanted to do the staging herself, and so we had given an estimate to stage it properly. And so this is the pictures from from the MLS. I mean, this is horrible,
Mm-hmm.
horrible. I think, how much money did this client leave on the table because they were being cheap? And so this is our education piece of, clients will jump over dollars to save pennies. Is that the right saying? Jump over dollars. They think they're saving money by cheapening things and trying to do it themselves, and they're giving up money. She gave up probably a lot of money in the sale of this property by not properly staging it. And
Well, usually a price reduction is in a $5,000 increments. So
right,
you can get a pretty nice staging for $5,000 on a
absolutely,
phone. So it doesn't make sense. And once you start doing that downward spiral of price reduction, you're not doing your client any favors.
no,
And I have people follow my listings because I make sure every one of my listings is staged, because you have one chance for a first impression. One.
absolutely. One chance to make a good first. And this is somebody put this on the site. I don't think this was in Colorado, but anyhow, an animal rug with. I mean, this is a hazard. People are going to walk in here and they're going to walk into the flowers. Have to walk. I mean, this makes absolutely no sense to me from a
This would
concept.
be better with nothing than
Nothing.
this. Yeah.
Right. This just looks ridiculous.
Yeah. And believe it or not, we still see a lot of things like this.
I know. Then these are recent pictures. So this is one of our recent stagings. So now this would be a hit. Hopefully, you guys think it's a hit as far as the way the property is staged. So you have it's a king size bed. The bedding is not wrinkled. Sandra, the bed Nazi, that's what her team calls her. You have bedside tables and lamps. This was a more upscale property. You have some texture in there, and yet we're always still learning. And so the idea is to make sure things are to scale. So if you have a huge master bedroom, you don't want to be putting a little bed in there. So this was here. We also had on the right hand side a dresser, and then there was a retreat area that had seating. So Anyway, so this is a color palette. What do we tend to use a lot of the grays and the greens and the blues and creams um, but tell me anything you see that you maybe could change. Like the throw, for example, it's short. So maybe we should have used one that went all the way across the bed or angled it on the side. So I
I
look at the
would say
picture.
for me, I do tend to put, I do like draperies on like a small window like that. And I would probably put them hanging to the floor because it gives the bedroom, I think, an elegant feel. Um, and just like you said, the throw at the end, a larger throw. Um, and I like that you're telling a story though, because master retreats should always be exactly that. They should be a retreat. It should be an escape. It should look like you're staying at a five-star hotel.
Yeah.
Um, and if it's a suite, then that should all flow into that same thing. And it's so important to have continuity, and I think that's a big thing. Is we don't always have continuity between the rooms. We don't have continuity with colors. The first thing I had a gentleman who said, I want you to sell my house. We're going to do as is, and he'd put a new roof, new siding, everything. And I'm like, well, and I walked in, and I'm like, well, how about and you're moving, so get all your furniture out. And he's like, okay. I said, paint everything. And I gave him my colors. And I said, put some inexpensive, nice carpeting, replace that. And I'll bring it in and stage it. And I'm gonna price it up $25,000 higher than what you just told me you wanted. And he goes, what are you talking about? And I said, for a little investment, isn't it worth it for me getting you $20,000 to $25,000 more? And he listened to everything I said. I'm doing a flip, and it's a teeny little flip. It is a weird thing, so I have to make it memorable. So they had everything white, and I'm like, "This is what I want you to do." And Jenny, when it's finished, I'm going to send you pictures of it because it's
Okay.
gorgeous. I said, "I want you to use navy blue in the cabinets." I said, "I want navy blue here, there," and I said, "Here's my color palette." I showed them pictures, and I guarantee you, it's going to sell in about a half a second in our market. But because it's memorable, and then he picked out really nice backsplash and marble, really cute things for this tiny little cottage that I'm probably going to get him $50,000 more than what he thought, just because you make it memorable.
Right. Yeah. And the fact that you can quantify that up front. So stagers need to be teaching agents to do that, and agents who are listening, being able to actually quantify the benefit of the investment up front of staging.
Yeah.
Say that I can get you this much more based on the market. That's huge, huge.
It, it,
So,
it really is. And now I will tell you, in our market right now, it's crazy because we have no homes to sell. And I'm pretty sure it's the same in John's market. So homes are flying off the market. So it's harder to get your foot in the door as a stager. But there's a lot of properties sitting on the MLS that are, and this is a really technical staging term, but ugly, that that's the ones you want to hit and say, look, you've been on the market this time. Let's do this. For a very small investment, considering what they've lost off the table already, that house can sell and get it sold. I've never seen a well-staged house not fly off the market ever.
yeah,
And
and I agree. I think butt ugly is a an informal term, which I think is great because there are some ugly houses, and you can find how you can just there's ways you can go into your market. You can search by city and see the properties that are for sale. You can actually look up the history of properties, like on Redfin or
mhm,
Broker.com, any of these different platforms. And if you see that there's been price reductions, you know that property, there's a challenge with it. It could be a location challenge. It could be how it shows on the inside that is dated. There's something with that property, and they need our help. Betty asked, what's the thought of placing living furniture like console and accent tables as a replacement for dresser and proper end tables in a bedroom? So in that last picture, we actually did have two cabinets. So I've been buying things in pairs that can be used in a dining room, in a living room, in an entryway. But you put them together, they can be like a dresser. So I think that's a really smart investment for stagers
mhm,
because a
I
dresser
agree.
itself, super heavy. this thing behind me, which is a buffet. I have invested in a couple of these with our warehouse, that, furniture that was being painted and it looked really cool. And things are so heavy. The team hates them. My movers hate them. They're so heavy. So being able to get two matching cabinets gives you flexibility. And so sometimes we will do that in a bedroom, put two cabinets. I don't have a lot of nightstands that are like the traditional with the drawers and so forth. I like putting a little bit more interesting things in there. So I think that's a good strategy, Betty, to put in there. This was an investor flip property. So the palette in this one with the grays and the golds and so forth, and sort of that table is really, really heavy, that metal with the wood. But kind of along, the entrance to the house was right to the side of the carpet. So we didn't have a huge living room to work with, but hopefully
But it
this one,
looks like a huge living room.
yeah,
That's the difference.
right.
That's the key. When you look at this picture, you don't think tiny living room. You think large living room, and it's because how you stretch the furniture out. You place the furniture in a way to enhance the room's size. And I think sometimes I see misses on that, or I walk in, and especially a lot the shore houses, they'll have this huge big great room, and they'll have every piece of furniture on this little square, and people think that makes the room look bigger. It doesn't. It made the room look tiny, tiny, tiny. Or they put so much stuff in the room that when my clients look at it, all they see is the stuff. And I tested this theory because I gave them a picture of a staged room from I'll be honest with you, it was one I did and I was so proud of it. It had a lot of stuff and I was like, yes, I'm it. I've done it. So I gave it to them. I had them look at it for 15 seconds. I took the picture away and I said, describe the room. And every one of them knew what all the pieces of furniture were, but none of them knew that we had wonderful moldings. They didn't know we had those beautiful hardwood floors. They didn't know that we had inlays on the hardwood floors. They did not know that we had some really beautiful architectural features. And that's because they looked at my stuff. And,
Right.
and that makes my job hard. So I had to go in and take some stuff out.
And you make a good point because there's a line you don't want to cross between staging and decorating. There's always more stuff we could put into our property, but you make a good point. You don't want to be to the point of distraction where they can't see the beautiful features. And then sometimes you do want to put things in that distract buyers from things that you don't want them to necessarily notice. So there's a strategy, but I totally agree that you don't want to over embellish a room.
It just makes my job too hard because I have to pull them away from the stuff and
Right.
Now, if the stuff is going with the house, then make the stuff amazing.
Right.
I'm all
Absolutely.
about that. And I love to sell turnkey because it's fun to just go shopping and get everything fresh and really do a house. But if the stuff is not going, I want to see the features of the house. Now, this to me shows the wow factor of that fireplace. That is the first thing my eye went to. And that's the key to great home staging.
And that's because when we position this one, we made sure not to block that view. So the family room was a step down into the family room from the kitchen, but we wanted them to notice that. And this was an investor flip, and sold for more than they expected. So and this one one of the things John had mentioned to me on chat last night was he said, "Do you notice some of the stagers doing some odd things?" And then not only that, but they're not getting when you don't get a lot of comments on your pictures. It could be an indication that either people aren't seeing it, or it could be that you might want to go take a look and assess what was done and think about what could I have done differently. So this particular picture, I got a lot of comments, a lot of really positive feedback. So be willing to put your examples of your work into the groups where stagers are, because you will get some good ideas and feedback. And the goal is, if you're giving feedback, don't say something that's going to hurt someone's feelings. Be constructive. And staging is subjective. There's not just one right way to stage a room. There could be a better way to position something. And so that's how we learn, and that's how we get better.
Well, one of the top things I see, Jenny, is that people don't take advantage of the view. So you have the sofa facing the view, or we had one. It was a master bedroom, and the bed was supposed to go on an opposite wall. Well, I mean, they had plugs there and everything, and it was supposed to be like that. Well, I took the bed and I put it facing the glass wall. And when we got it staged, Diana Mullins and I staged it for another agent, a friend of mine. And he had it on the market for a year before staging it. And after we staged it, the feedback he gave us was that he sold it for $50,000, higher
Wow.
than any prior offer he'd gotten with it unstaged. To
Well,
me, that was a success story.
and that's huge. And and the key is again what you're saying, highlighting, taking advantage of the views when you place. We always say that the room should be from the doorway. You should know what the room's about from that doorway. So the from the focal point for a bedroom is the bed, but it doesn't be directly across from the doorway. But if there's views and things position it, think about like if I'm laying in bed, do I want to be looking at the toilet just because that happens to be the main wall? Or do I want to be looking out at a beautiful view? Because that's what the buyers immediately think when they walk into a room. And
Yeah.
so this, I don't know how old this picture is, but I don't think it's more than a decade old. And this was a property, I believe, in Atlanta. Horrible. And I see this here in Denver. It's just ridiculous. You don't just pile a bunch of pillows on the floor. There's actually, people in my market, probably newer stagers that are doing some of this, and they're like, it's accessorizing, but it cheapens the process and it cheapens your reputation to be doing things like this. And I'm telling you, there are people that will partner with you if you don't have your own furniture or you don't have a lot of great rental companies in your area to work with. Find another stager who has things. To me, it's like if my stuff's sitting in a warehouse and not making me money, that's pointless. The furnishings and there's,
Mhm.
you know, um, get it out to the show. Partner with somebody for success. Find a stager you can work with or that has things that they're willing to do. This was in my market in a house is probably $500,000 to $600,000,
Right.
and horrible. And they asked me for an estimate for staging, and this is what they did. I'm just thinking like, I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know I don't know if that's an air mattress or just a mattress. The bedding is messy. It looks horrible. It would have been better just to empty the room. And so this is where we have to change. This is only a few years old, so it's not like it was a decade ago. And if agents and sellers think that this is staging, we have a problem, right? That we have to change the conversation because that's just terrible.
Well, here's the thing that I don't think that they understand also. From a buyer's point of view, when my buyers walk in and see staging like that, they know that that seller's desperate.
Yeah.
Because if this is how you're presenting your house, that means you are desperate to sell it, and you need money.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it cheapens the whole process, and
Yeah, it really
just
does.
looks like a tenement house. And this was in a very nice neighborhood, a golf course community. So it's not. It really was awful that they did this to this property. This was a higher end listing. This was sort of a den office setup, and so rugs again. So that is one of our rugs. Neutrals is what we really go for. That's a Dalen rug. So those of you that are looking at area rugs and want them inexpensively, we partner with Dalen. I know Olix has rugs. Ashley Furniture. There's we have Kara stands. So there's through the IHOS wholesale buying program, you can source area rugs that are look beautiful. This would probably retail for I want to say like probably $1,000 depending on which store you go to, and we pay $200 to $300 wholesale, and then they just drop ship at FedEx. So it's really easy to get. So this is called an impact. That's the style impact rug, and they have a whole line. But I love their rugs. I love how plushy they are. And this table, this is from Universal Furniture. As far as the nesting, and I did the shape learning from Big JLW, Joanne Leonard Weary. You're decorating DNA, how people, you also want to look at your pictures and think about what shapes that you always go for. And I learned this from her, one of her. I looked at my family room, and so I have a rectangle sofa, and I had a rectangle coffee table, and I had chairs that were square and rectangle artwork, and so I had a lot of rectangles. And when you look at this room, there's a lot of squares and rectangles in here. So even by bringing in the round, just a different shape, it doesn't make it feel so severe. And so kind of think about that when you're doing your staging to incorporate other elements. So, the rounded shades on the lamps is good. But this mimics the windows, the desk legs. So you want to kind of think about shapes and what you typically gravitate towards, and even your color palettes that you use. So if you're always using the exact same color palette, even though it may be on trend, your staging it all looks the same. So mix it up, bring in other palettes. So this one here, this is golds and silvers and grays. So, which is different than blues and greens and grays and creams that we tend to use. And we've even done, we'll do oranges and reds and so forth when it's appropriate. So I think that's the last picture on here.
Well, and the thing is that I think that's so important to keep in mind is imagine this room with nothing in it, and it's a nice room. But when you see staging like that in that
Yeah,
room, then that gives you a lifestyle. And
right,
that's what I sell, lifestyle and floor space. That's what I sell. And first of all, it's lifestyle. And if people who don't believe that buying a house is about emotion, you're 100% wrong. It's all about what story did this home say to me? And everyone that walks in wants to live that lifestyle. So it's really, really important. And then, of course, many times afterwards, the buyers call you and say, hey, can you help me make it look like you had it staged? And so
right.
that's another revenue stream right there.
Absolutely. And so our goal is because we just threw this together. It was, I don't know what time it was last night. I think I'm like, hey, you want to be on the show?
I think there might have been a glass of wine or two along the way. I don't know.
Possibly. So,
Yeah.
but we want to do a series. And so we're going to, we'll break down each room. So the main rooms, like the living, the dining, bedrooms, and so forth, and kind of come up with hits or misses, things that we need to be doing as stagers, and even kind of turn it into an educational process, which is really, we're always learning. Industry is always evolving. Buyers' expectations are evolving. And so saying that I need to learn something doesn't make us weak or a bad business owner or stupid. None of those adjectives would even apply. It's
No.
basically you're a smart business owner because we always do need to be learning how to make things better and to change with the times. Because can you imagine if I didn't change with the times and I was still staging? I wouldn't have a business, quite honestly, if I still staged the way we did 19 years ago with the vignette, that look with the little wicker stuff. I mean, nobody would hire me. I'd have to move to some little podunk town and hope that they didn't know what staging was. You know what I mean? Didn't watch TV because it's just the expectations are so different.
Yeah,
So,
our buyers are sophisticated now.
yeah,
They know what they like, they know what they want, they know, and even small houses can have a big impact. But you have to have that emotion, and HGTV gives us no choice. We have to stay on top of our game. Um,
right. Absolutely.
yeah.
And so we'll be working on this. I'll have my little cohort here in crime, John Reagan, and come up with specifics. So really kind of breaking down rooms and coming up with what we want to be doing and things and misses. And if you have pictures you want to submit or, you have questions you want us to answer, just message me. You can email me. You can see my email right up there, jenny@ihosp.com. Feel free to send me any thoughts on the sessions and what you'd like us to share. If you have any great examples of what not to do, I told John, I said it'd be funny to have, like, remember back in the day, you get Cosmo magazine, they put like the black bar across your eyes. Like they'd show somebody walking in the crosswalk with like what not to wear. And, and it's like, oh, just by doing this, you can't tell who the person is. Although I can't, maybe because we have our masks, if you have the masks on, you can't really tell either. But with the houses, we could put like a black bar, like don't do this. But we want to learn, have fun. I don't want to pick on people. I don't want to insult anybody. However, we all need to learn to get better and to elevate our standard and to aspire um, to be the pace setter, And when I will say one of the best ways is to look at other stagers' work and get ideas. Like one of the things that, I feel we're a little bit weak on in our company would be like maybe bathrooms. Like what else can I do in a bathroom that makes it special? We have the orchid, we have the towels. What else can I do that's kind of spa-ish? Or even maybe on a kitchen counter, we have our setup. What are some of the things people are doing? And so trays and we'll have like a couple coffee mugs and a coffee and we'll do little setups to kind of, you know, um, create a little story. So, but what are other people doing? And so take a look and learn. And you might go, I hate that, or that's a really great idea. So, because again, staging's subjective. And the ultimate goal is to sell the house. However, one of the benefits and blessings of having John as a guest and in our staging family is because he is a successful realtor and a stager. So he's that double combination that actively does both. And so he has his feet in staging and his feet in real estate and definitely a testimonial to using staging as a way to really grow your business and as a realtor, um, top producer.
And well, it makes a huge difference. And I mean, I went and I was they called me in to look at a a luxury home, and they wanted me. And so when, first I turned the listing down because they didn't agree to my terms. Then I came back, they called me back and said, no, we want you. And there were 5 daughters in this. And we walked through room after room after room. And I said, I want this gone, this gone, this gone, this gone. Then we went into the storage and I said, I want this here, this here. I want this redone. They did every bit of it. And in this market, in our market in Indiana, now in Michigan, it's not a big deal, but to get millions of dollars for a property in a gated community in Porter County, Indiana, is a big deal. And they did everything, and it came out stunning. It's stunning. But they didn't understand that, like the foyer, I needed a big wow when they came in. And so I gave them florists to go to, and and it was a very traditional home, but it was stunning. And they had this gorgeous rug that probably weighed 500 pounds to move the rug. I'm not kidding. It was probably 3 inches thick, and it was beautiful. But they had marble under that rug, and I'm like, let's take the rug out. Let's bring this piece of furniture in. Let's put this here, and it was stunning. But you have to tell a story, and that's the key. And you have to get buyers' emotions. And I know I look at some of my own stuff, and I haven't started pulling out some of my misses. So you're not going to hurt my feelings by tearing them apart.
Well, I got a lot. I mean, yeah, I'll go. I was able to click through last night of going to had to go to my PC because my main computer is a long story, but I have to go remotely in. So I'm trying to find all these pictures of things that we've done. And I'm just like, it's kind of fun to look back at your journey and then to kind of think forward, like, where are we headed? And so anyway, so we're going to have some fun with this series and turn it into an educational opportunity for people. And so again, if you are watching and you have anything you'd like to share with us, photos or just thoughts about things you'd like to say, make sure to include this thought in when we're talking about living rooms or kitchens or whatever, just send that to me. Send me an email, and we'll give you a shout out during the show. Or if you'd like to be on as a commentator, we can have up to 6 people on here, which is kind of cool. So, all right, I am going to sign off now. Thank you for joining me, Don, and thank you for joining me, everybody, on our platforms. And we'll be back next week with another show. Until then, stay warm if you're in the snow, stay cool if you're in the heat, and stay healthy everywhere. Bye, everybody.